And in the second session, we'll try to create a dashboard using pivot tables. And we will eventually create a dynamic dashboard, which means you change the filters and you will be able to refresh the data, right? Okay, let me just open up. So I made some changes to my Zoom because of all the sharing issues. And so now the my video is out, but that is still better than that screen freeze issue. Okay, so 1 second. Yes, can anyone define what pivot tables are? Yes, Christina.
So we use pivot tables so it is easier to summarize and get the data insights from the larger set of data. For instance, pivot table helps us in comparing percentages, averages,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair. That is a good explanation of pivots. So pivot tables help us in summarizing the data quickly, right? So whatever analysis we do in pivots, that is also possible to be done through normal formulae, but formulae can be error prone. It might take time to write and debug formulae and extend them across the table. So pivot table, one, helps us in summarizing the data. Second, it helps us in slicing and dicing the data based on the dimensions we have. Third, it also helps us to identify trends faster, and it also helps us to create dynamic dashboards, which we will do in the second session today, right? So whatever we are eventually doing in pivots, that is possible to be done through normal Excel, but it is more time taking, it is more error prone, right? And it will enable, or no, without pivots, it is more manual. So you have to rely more on formulae, functions. But in pivots, you can be assured that whatever, as long as you are creating the right view with the right setup, you are essentially getting the correct data, but it is faster, more precise, and less dependent on manual formulae. Right. So that was it about a base structure of how pivot tables are helpful. And if you know Excel without pivot tables, then 60 to 70% of the advantage you are letting go of. So pivot tables as an analyst, very, very important to understand and know what are the different ways out to perform a singular analysis. Okay. Let me check the questions. Yes, Harsh has uh, added a message. It is a dynamic summarizing tool, which is also fair. Okay, good. Now we will try to perform multiple operations in pivot tables using this data set. It is a relatively small data set, again, around 9,000 rows, and we have around 10, 11 columns. So this is a data set about Adidas as a company operating in the US, right? So this is the transactions data set, and we have a few uh, columns here. Some are showing metrics, some are showing dimensions. So for example, looking at the raw data, we have retailer name. Retailer name is Amazon, Foot Locker, Walmart, etc. Every retailer name has a retailer ID. So one-to-one mapping, of course. Then we have the invoice date. We have the region, invoice date as in when the product was purchased. Then we have the region, state, city, product name. This is the product name or product title. What is the title of the product which was sold? Then we have price per unit, total units sold, operating margin. Operating margin is that if the product was uh, sold at $100, but the fixed cost of that unit to the company, or the cost of purchasing that product for Adidas itself was 50. So your operating margin is 50%, right? Then we have sales method, how the product was sold, which is in-store, outlet, or online. So I don't know the difference between in-store and outlet. It is largely an offline way of selling. Then we have revenue and profit. Revenue is what? Uh, Total units sold into price, and profit is revenue minus total cost, right? Or revenue into operating margin. So a relatively simple, small data set. Let me know if there are any questions on the individual columns as such. Right, so we will use this data set.
Can you, sorry,
Yes.
can you come again on how you calculate how the operation margin is calculated?
Which one?
Operating margin is calculated to percentages. How is the
Ah,
calculation on?
so operating margin, let me share the P&L somewhere here. One second. Yes. So this is a typical P&L statement, right? We have the selling price, then we have the buying price. Let us say for one unit. So the selling price is $100, the buy price is $50, the operating margin is 50 by 100, right? Or let us say if this was $60. So what is the margin left after the selling, right? And it is not including any of the fixed costs. So this is the operating margin calculation. Clear? After operating margin, we have other fixed items like salaries, electricity bill, rent, interest, and tax. And eventually we arrive at the net profit. There are other components as well, but I'm not going into those. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now coming back. Yes. It is now important for us to understand what is a metric in this data set and what is a dimension. Okay. So if you look at this retailer name, we can split our data based on retailer name. So it is a dimension, right? Dimension is a variable which can be used to divide our metrics into granular values, right? So whatever metric we are aggregating, we can divide it, we either units sold or total sales, etc. We can divide by retailer ID or retailer name. So this is a dimension. Again, another dimension. Invoice date is by default a dimension, because you can break the sales by month, week, year, and so on. Correct? All these string values, region, state, city, product, by default, again are dimensions. Sales method is also a dimension. The other values, which are price per unit, unit sold, total sales, and others, these are metrics by default. Okay, I hope this is clear. Whatever is quantifiable is by default a metric, right? Whatever is a number essentially is a metric, but that is not true everywhere. Retailer ID seems like in a numerical format, but it is a dimension. You cannot add or average out these integer values, right? Everyone clear with the basic difference between a metric and dimension in this? Now, if I ask you, what is the number of unique products being sold by Adidas? There we will use this column, product, and we will calculate the count of unique products sold. So this becomes a metric which is based out of a dimension column, right? So the dimension columns by default, they are to bifurcate the data, but they can also be converted into derived metrics. right? So count of unique products sold, count of unique cities where Adidas operates, count of unique states where Adidas sold a unit last year, the number of days when Footlocker, let us say Footlocker as a retailer was able to sell its inventory, right? The count of unique retailers which Adidas has, right? So by default, these are all dimensions, but they can be thought of as metrics as well, right? Hmm. Yes, Sakshi. Question?
Sorry, sorry. No, no, no.
Okay, I'll mute. All right. Okay. Now coming to creating a pivot table. And I would recommend people who haven't worked on pivots to try creating one. I'll share this file. One second. There are a lot of tabs here. Those have been created out of past sessions. So you can ignore all the others and focus mainly on uh, the raw data. Okay, so I'm sharing this on the chat. You should be able to view it in a minute. And I hope today there are no problems with the sharing. I hope. Okay. Are you able to see the screen again? And let me know how many people would be working along trying to create the pivot views. Anyone? So I'll have to pace accordingly. Who all would be trying out? Prem? Ansh? Okay. ठीक है. Arun, Prem and Lakshmi, Gaurav. What about others? You let me know if you feel that our speed is slow or fast when we are waiting for others. Okay, then we'll see. Because in the pivot session, at least we have a good amount of time. Okay. So if you have to create a pivot table, what do you need to do? Click anywhere in the data section whenever you have data. Click anywhere in between. Go to insert pivot table. Then this pop-up will come up. Here you will have by default, if you have selected within the data range, it will automatically select the from the first cell to the last cell of your data range. And you have the option of either creating the pivot in a new worksheet or an existing worksheet, right? So it is up to you. I usually try to create this in another sheet, right? So a new sheet will be created. You can change the position, of course, right? And you can also name March 8th. Okay. So this is the view, or this is the summary where we will get our summarized view. And these are our fields which we can drag and drop. So pivot tables largely is a drag and drop functionality. We need to just identify what column we need to add, what values or metrics we want to add, and how will we add the filters. So for example, in this case, acha, tell me how many of you have not worked on pivot at all? No idea about pivot so that I can pace accordingly. I don't, if you have worked, say if you have some idea, then I won't repeat or I won't cover the very basic items. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Darshan. Okay. Priyanshu, Gaurav. Okay. So a good amount of people. Others, anyone else? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12 people. Nida, 13. Okay. So I would say more than 50% people almost. Okay. So we'll start with the basics. And people who have not worked, it is more important for you guys to do hands-on along with me. Right? So if you have any questions, you can ask then and there. And people who have worked, who are proficient in pivots, please have patience. Okay. But again, if you feel we are going too slow, do let me know. Fair? Okay. Now, when I hope everyone is able to come to this view, people who are very new to pivots, everyone is able to arrive at this view, the basic setup of pivot. So if you are lagging behind, do let me know. We will pause. Okay. Okay. So by default here, if you see, we have at the top right the list of all our metrics and dimensions. So we have by default our metrics still here, I think, sales method, right? After that, there are some extra columns which I had added. So you can ignore them for now. We will discuss as time goes by, right? So by default, whatever metrics, the basic columns and add-on features which we added later on, those are in the field list. This is the field list, right? At the top right. We have four sections at the bottom. We have filters, columns, rows, and values. So by default, our metrics will be added in the value section and our dimensions will be added either in columns, rows, or filters. Right?
So can you explain again the basic difference between both?
Between dimension and metric.
Yes, sir.
Ah. So dimension is something which will help you in breaking down your metrics. So for example, units sold is a metric. So if 100 units are sold, that is my L0 or most important metric for this use case. Revenue or total revenue is our another metric. I can break this metric down by a dimension like product. So if I sold $100 million of products of revenue total, what is it at a product level? So the for product one, it is 20 million, product two, it is 10 million, and so on. So dimensions help us in breaking down our metric, right? So by default, all of this retailer ID, invoice date, region, all of this, these are metric dimensions, right? Because our base metrics को you can break by these dimensions, right? Clear? Okay. Now coming back. Acha, before we do that, can you tell me the granularity of this data set? What is the primary key of this data set?
Mhm. Retailer, but no.
So tell me first, is this at an order level or this is an aggregate data set? Is it at an order ID level or it is an aggregated data set from the start? Aggregate, right? Because we don't have order ID anywhere. We don't have transaction ID anywhere. We don't have customer ID anywhere, correct? Which shows that this is an already aggregated data set. Okay. We have this total units sold. We have total sales here, right? Nowhere in this column set I can see order ID, checkout ID, order item ID, customer ID, right? So it means that it is aggregated. And what is the primary key of this data set? That which combination should not repeat. Yes. So this is at a day level, right? So the combination of retailer ID, date, city, product, and sales method. So a combination of these five columns the value should not be repeated. Why did I not add state and region? Because one city will have one state, one city will have one region. One retailer will have one retailer ID. I hope this is clear, this basic. Right? So a combination of these five ideally should not get repeated in this data set. So when you are doing starting an analysis, you remember what all we had discussed, that you will check for duplicates, you will check for null values, you will check for hygiene, whether date has all date values and no strings, unit sold should not be zero, price per unit should not be negative, right? Operating margin should not be greater than 100. It can be negative. Operating margin can have negative values. If you sell a product at 100 rupees, $100, but you purchased it at 120, then your margin will become negative, right? But the margin cannot be greater than, can it be greater than 100? I think yes, it can be greater than 100, right? I hope this is clear. Whatever we had discussed in the first session, the hygiene checks, duplicate checks, and all, you will do first. Then you will come to creating pivots, etc. Right? Clear? We'll proceed. Lot of silence.
Yep.
Today, and I also can't force get turn videos on, but I'll try to turn on my video in the second session at least. Okay. Okay. Now moving forward, creating our first view
Hello.
for pivot. Yes.
Yes, sir. Could you please share the link again, as I have some issue with that. I'm not getting the sheet in the chat.
Is it? Okay. Can anyone else share, please, who has already been able to download? Otherwise, I'll have to uh, close the file and open again.
Yes,
Maybe.
just a moment.
Yeah. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Nida. Are you able to see Sushmita? Try out once downloading it from here.
Yes,
Okay.
but it is not showing now also.
Hmm. Can anyone share you over mail? Share with you over mail? Just check once now, Sushmita. Gaurav has
Yeah, I
added
got
again.
it. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now creating our first view in pivot table. So we have a list of our fields here. If I have to add something like a unit sold, if I want to calculate total units sold by Adidas, what will I do? I will simply drag and drop it over values. Right? As soon as I do that, I will get a number 247K. Sorry, 2.47 million, right? Okay. So this is 2.47 million units sold, right? Now, if you are very new to pivots and you are not sure whether you have done the right thing or not, you can go to your raw data and you can select the entire column and check. This is the total number of units sold. 2478861. This is the exact number you are getting here, right? So do try these small quality checks here and there when you are especially working for the first time on any new tool or any new feature, right? I hope this is clear, everyone. You're able to do it. People who are working on
Yep.
pivot for the very first time. Okay. Okay. Now, if I have to break this, what is the most important feature for pivot? We will be able to break this data by multiple other dimensions. So if you look at other dimensions, let us say retailer. So at a retailer level, I want to break this. I will drag and drop it on rows. So at a retailer level, I will get the units sold. Total units also I'll get as grand total, and individual retailers ka total units also I will get. So this view I was able to generate in one go. Had I not used pivot, what will I do? Get a unique set of these retailers, then do sum if and extend the formula, make sure that the formula is correctly frozen, what cells I want to freeze, what cells I don't want to freeze, right? So I don't need to be bothered by all this. Okay. At the
Sir,
back end,
I have one
huh,
question. How we are deciding that the value which we are picking will goes to the row value or a column? What is the idea behind it?
see, it depends whatever you are comfortable with. Right now, if I have to create this view, right, I could have either gone with rows or with columns. It depends on how you want to present the data, how you want to summarize the data, right? So in this case, for example, I could have added retailer here, but it would have been slightly weird to get the quantum, right? Readability wise, this is better, so I've added in rows. But there is no hard and fast rule. Whatever is easy to communicate, whatever is easier to summarize, that you should go ahead with. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So now this initial view is created. I hope everyone who is new to pivots, you are able to do this. Right. Now in pivots also, whatever views we create, we will be able to perform these operations, these alignment and all of these operations we can do here. Adding color, alignment, border, bold, etc. We will be able to do. Okay, so just try and play around with these. And when you click on anywhere inside the pivot, this field list opens up. Okay. Now, if you see here, in our value section, we have sum of units sold. What if I don't want to do sum? What if I want to perform some other aggregation function? What are other aggregate functions? Average, count, mean, standard deviation, and so on. So I can select here, do a click here, and click on value field settings. Value field settings, if I click, I will be able to select what
Sir, can you
aggregation.
please show again?
Yeah, this part.
Yeah.
What if I want to change from sum to some other aggregation function? So I will just go here, hover over this, do a left click, and I will select on value field settings. Simple click will work. Okay. Now, by default, it has selected sum. I can do count, I can do average, max, min, product, count, numbers, standard deviation, variance. So all these aggregation functions we have at our disposal, right? So based on the use case, we will be able to do this, right? In this case, count does not make sense, right? And we'll get to it, why it doesn't make sense. So by default, we have sum and we are going ahead with sum right now. The other thing is that whatever aggregation function we have selected, the title of your column will become that. So I've selected sum, so it will say sum of the metric we have done the aggregation on. So sum of units sold. Had it been some other metric, sum of revenue, it would have added sum of revenue as the title by default. But you can change the title according to your use case. Maybe units sold. Right? So you can add the title. It should be intuitive. If it is unit sold, don't call it as revenue sales, or don't call it as city sold, whatever. Don't give weird names. The names should be intuitive and aligned with what the metric is, right? I hope this is clear. If I now want to add more metrics to this, I can do that. Let us, acha, the other thing is, now I did a drag and drop to create this view. I can also remove these fields from here very easily. Let us say I want to remove retailer. I will simply press it and drag it outside the view. It will get removed. Okay, and Control Z also works. Again, if I want to remove retailer, either I can press on it and select remove field, or I can simply drag it outside of the pivot table. Okay. Now, when we had retailer, another thing you could have done was look at Amazon, go to your raw data, filter Amazon from here, and then look at units sold just to do a quality check. Is your number matching or not in both, right? Okay. Now, if I want to add more metrics to my view, I removed retailer. Let us say I want to add total sales. So what I will do, either I can press or check on this value, or I can do a drag and drop. Either of the two I can do. Okay. Again, this number seems very high. I can just go and check once whether the number I am getting is correct or not. 1 second. See here, revenue, we are getting 121 something. But here it is some weird value. So this is not the correct dimension. Revenue kahan hai? 1 second. Total sales, product price per unit. Sum of total sales. 1 second. Where is total sales? With margin. Okay, I think it is some other column. I'll get to that. So the point is, I can add more metrics to my view here, and I can add in values. Currently, this is showing me a wrong number because when I added it here, this value is 89 million something, but in my raw data, this is only 120 million or so. So looking at this, I am able to identify that it is not matching. So in the past, I had created some calculated fields because of which this is not matching. So let me just check once, right? But anyway, if that had been correct, so you can change the column name here as well. Right? So basically you can add multiple metrics to your pivot table in one go. Okay. Into, okay, we'll get to this. Clear? Everyone able to add? We'll move ahead.
Hi, sir. I want to know one thing. Can we create new fields in the pivot table?
Can we create? Yes, we will come to that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you see, when I did not have total sales, columns, rows, and filters were empty completely. As soon as I added this column, total sales, columns में values got added by default without us having done anything, right? I simply added total sales. So columns may this values came up. What does it mean? Whatever new metric you will add here, it will be added as a new column. For example, operating profit, if I'm adding, it will get added as a new column. So all the values which I'm adding, they will be new columns. I can change this as well. What I can say is instead of adding them as new columns, add them as new rows. So I can drag the values ka field and drop it on rows. So every new field I will add here will get added to a new row as opposed to a new column. Right? Try doing this as well. Manisha, able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Nishant. So, are you able to reach this step? Adding multiple metrics which are added by default into different columns. Able to reach till this point, Nishant?
Hi, I I'm not sure how. Can you repeat this process of where we added summation of values in columns?
Yeah. So let us say we are at this point, right? Unit
Ah,
sold is the only thing.
right.
If I want to add more dimension metrics, so I can
We can
drag.
drag and drop in values, right?
Yes,
Okay, and summation is coming by default for column.
yes.
Okay,
So if I want to change it, I will just press on this and select value field settings.
okay. And in
I,
value field settings, if I choose like average,
average doesn't make sense here
right, right.
because data thoda weird ho jayega. So again, that options are there for us based on the
Ah,
use case. The current use case does not allow us to use other functions
okay,
because it will mess up the insights, right?
right. This columns section
Hmm.
already has this values.
Hmm.
This comes by default as soon as
Yes.
we add columns in, oh,
Yes.
sorry, fields in
As
values.
soon as I add the second column,
Second column.
it
Okay.
pops up. What does it mean? Any new value I add, any new metric I add, it will be added to a new column here.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So if I want to change it, can I column mein nahi, I don't want it. I want it in new rows. I
Hmm.
can drag and drop it like this.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Right. So
Okay. Okay.
whatever I'm adding here, it will get added in the new row. Okay.
Right. It is. I'm done with this step. I just
Okay.
was not aware why this
Okay. Okay. Cool. Someone else also had a question.
Yes, sir.
Ansh. Ah.
Sir, basically, I was trying to create a pivot table in one of my like milestone thing, but the issue I was getting was it says data source reference is not valid, and I was following the exact steps which you
Mhm.
just mentioned before.
Are you able to do now?
No, sir. Like in this sheet which you just gave in the chat box, I'm able to do it, but not in the milestone one.
Oh, is it?
Yes, sir.
Then
It
it
is
is
saying
pos.
data
Ah.
source reference is not valid.
Acha. Then share it with the coordinators once, either Akanksha or Harshit. There might be some issue with the source itself. There might be some special characters and so on.
Actually, that is the same issue I faced.
Ah, okay. Then it seems like the raw data source issue. So just share whatever uh, pop-up you are getting and tag Akanksha or Harshit there.
Sorry for the interruption, but we can. That's the issue I faced earlier. But in .xls format, I can do that pivot table.
Try to try to open the file through Excel and not as a CSV, or change the extension, whatever you followed. Maybe you can share with them on the chat. Works?
Okay, sir. Okay, okay.
Hmm. Okay. I hope we are clear till this point. Now, all these three, right now, these two are not correct, by the way. So let us assume that they are correct. Okay. How did we know? We checked the overall values, and I think this is coming up because I have done a lot of extra column creation in the past. So might be a result of that. Okay. Okay. Now, uh, coming to, huh, we have three metrics here. We can break these metrics by multiple of our dimensions. We can break by retailer. So at a retailer level, we'll get this breakdown. We can break it by region, north, northeast, south, west, all of this. We can break by state, right? If you feel like it, you can also break these metrics by column. So instead of adding retailer in rows, you can add it in columns. Doing this will slightly mess up your data. Not mess up, it is a little difficult to follow. So if you see here, till the time retailer wasn't there, we had three values here. As soon as I added retailer, what did it do? The first value of units sold, it split into all these six retailers, right? The second value of total sales, it split by these six. The third value of operating profit, it's split by these six values, right? I will get the data, but it is slightly difficult to follow as opposed to retailer being in rows and value being in columns, right? Now, I hope this is clear. The other thing is I can also change the order of how I am representing these metrics. For example, total sales go, I can put first. Just drag it on top of units. Operating profit ko, I can put second. So I can change or customize this order of metrics which I am adding. Okay? There is also a manual option. Move up, move to beginning. So if I click here, units sold will come first. Right? So these customizations also I can do. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Videos. Okay. Now, another thing which a lot of people miss is that you can add the same metric multiple times. For example, units sold as a metric, I can add more than once. Hmm? Now you can ask, why did you do this? What if I want to show total units in one column and share of units in the second column? So once I have added, of course, these values will be the same. I will do a right click. Okay. Right click me, I will get an option, show values as. I will do percent of column total. So now I will get a share. What is the distribution of units on the basis of retailer, right? So both these views I am able to create in one go. Okay. I hope you are not getting a disturbance from my end. There is some drilling happening. Okay. Clear up till this point, everyone?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Now, if I want to remove, I can just drag it outside here. Okay. The next thing is I can add a retailer. Let's say I've broken this by retailer. Now, if I want to add some filter on top of it, that I want only a specific product. So I want retailer wise units, but I want to filter for a specific product. So what I can do, product I can add to filters. And let us say product may, I will say men's apparel. So this entire view has been filtered by this specific product. And it will also work when I have multiple columns or multiple metrics here. So once I added the filter, I set its value, I will be able to filter this entire thing on the basis of whatever I've selected here. Right? I can also select multiple items in one go. Press select multiple items. You can select these three. Okay. You can customize your views on some specific filters. Right? And there is no limit to the number of filters you can add. So let us say product ka you have added. You can also add a filter of state. You can also add a filter of region. You can also add a filter of sales method, right? So whatever you want to customize, that this state, this region, whatever, multiple regions you can add, and sales method if you want to add in store. In store, okay, it is not there online, right? Yes, Ansh, any questions?
So like you added filters on
Ansh, your
state
voice is
method
breaking a lot. It is difficult to follow.
this method. So how come there's a filter option on? So is it fine now?
Yes. Tell me.
So my question is how come the filter option is available on the row label thing?
Only in the row label, it means? I didn't get your question.
Like you added product, state, region in the filter column. So how come the filter option is available in the row label heading?
Acha. So this is a function, this is a hard-coded functionality by Excel. You can't customize that. Filters will be added in different columns. It will be difficult to add multiple filters then, no?
Okay.
It is slightly simpler to make use of this. Maybe somewhere there might be a functionality where you want to, instead of adding in rows, you add in columns, but it will be difficult to understand or execute your filter, right? Okay. Now the thing is that if you have selected something here and selected something in the second filter, remember it will be an and condition by default. That product should be men's apparel, ethnic, or streetwear footwear. This will be one condition, and this will be the second condition, south and west. So it will be and product equal to either of the three, and region equal to whatever you selected. It is not or, that product is in these three values and or region is in three. It is always and, right? So please remember. Okay.
Can we create more than one pivot tables on single sheet? Is it possible?
Yes. So if you see here now, it is a very good functionality that you can simply copy paste the pivot.
Right. Okay. Because if we want to show multiple scenarios, like if on based on product, we want some state
Yes.
or something like that. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. So you can create multiple pivot tables. The best or the good practice is to name your pivot table. So if you see here, in this pivot table, if you go to pivot table analyze, यहाँ पे pivot table name is something which you can check. You can maybe call it summary one. So if you are working with multiple pivot tables in the same tab, it is better to name them so that you will be able to understand better, or the end consumer will be able to follow better. Okay.
Right. One more question related to not pivot table, but there is a functionality of insert table kind of process. There is option of insert table. How is it different?
Insert pivot table. Acha, this is
Insert.
the normal table. It is not
Okay.
pivot.
Okay. Okay.
Table
So
में
we
it is like you add a view of table. It is a
view of
structure.
table. Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. As
Can
I
you?
sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So, can you show again how you named each pivots differently?
Mhm. So if you see here,
Yeah.
na, you go to uh, pivot table analyze. So you if you selected somewhere within the
I
pivot table,
am working on Google Sheets. So, is it still there, or where is
I
it?
think it is there might be slightly different in Google Sheets because
Uh,
that is the thing. Excel was created by Microsoft. Google Sheets was
hmm,
created by Google. So there are some functionalities which are different.
okay.
So I think it
Um,
should be there somewhere. If you click on the pivot table somewhere inside, there would be something to change the table. I'll just check online. I don't use pivot tables in Google Sheets. It is a little irritating. So I avoid in Google Sheet.
okay,
But
sure.
I think it would be there somewhere. You will be able to find it if you search online.
I'll check it out. And
But the thing is, do try getting Microsoft Excel.
I have it, but it's an outdated one, 2013 or something. I have, so that's why
Well,
I
that will
use.
also work, no? The
How?
basic functionalities will remain the same. How to add a
Hmm.
pivot, how to name a pivot, and all that will remain the same, even if it is 2013. Some advanced features might not be there.
Okay.
Okay, right.
Yes. Hi, Sahil.
Yes.
Actually, if in the filters, if we select a state or a region, then the state filter automatically select the states within that region, or they are completely saturated or
So let us say,
independent.
I got your question. So let us say uh, region. Currently I have all regions. If I select only Midwest, now in my state, even though it is showing me the entire list, if I select a state which is not in Midwest, so let us say Midwest may what is not there, uh, Mississippi. So Mississippi is not in Midwest, so it will give me a blank, right?
Yeah. Yes. Actually, in the filter column, we can select hierarchy wise, but here we cannot
Huh.
eventually.
Yes, I think there is some option wherein if I select this region, state should ideally give me a list of all the states which are available in that region. So there is some
Mhm.
advanced feature which will help us do that as well. But right now it is not there. You
Okay.
get my point?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
But adding it in rows might give us better flexibility on this front. Okay,
Mm,
cool.
thank you.
Now again, if you want to remove filters, you can simply drag these out or press and remove field, either of the two. Okay. And then you can change the position of the pivot also, right? So if you have added multiple filters to your pivot and you copy paste, all the filters will remain as it is, like we saw earlier, right? Okay. Now coming to another view. Currently, this is a one-dimensional view of our metric. So one metric and one dimension. Very simple, right? What if I want to break this into two dimensions? So one dimension is retailer. I want to get this view retailer cross region. So I will put region in columns. What happened here? I am getting only one region, Midwest. Why am I getting only one? Because earlier I selected in the filter Midwest. So if you see in when I have two dimensions, one dimension is retailer, one dimension is region. So यहाँ पे there is a filter by default. You can select all, right? And you can select all here also. right? So this is a two-dimensional grid of our metric split by two dimensions, right? If you see, Walmart does not sell in Midwest, Kohl's does not sell in Southeast, right? So here we have the total units sold, 247, 247, 2.47 million, right? So all of these values up till here, these will also add up to 247, right? 2.47 million. Individually, these are my row totals. The sum of all these values equals to this number. The sum of all these values equals this number, and so on, right? So these are row totals, right? Individually, these will add up to 247, right? This 247. So row totals will add up to the total grand total. This is the grand, right? If you look at this number, what is it? A sum of all these values. So these are column totals. This value is grand total, right? So someone had asked a long time back, if I'm selecting the entire pivot table, I am getting 4x of my units, which is right. This is 1x, this is 1x, this is another 1x, and this is the fourth x. So 247k will become 990k, right? Clear? Individually, this number means that Amazon sold 44,000 units in Midwest. This means Kohl's sold 175k units in the West region, right? So this is how a two-dimensional grid will work. Okay. Okay. Now, this is the absolute number which we got, right? Absolute figures. What if I want to share this as a percent? What can I do? I will just control. Right. Now I have the optional, the availability to change how I am showing this data. I can share this as a percent also. How can I do that? Let us say show values as percent of grand total. So individual values will become percent of the total value. What does it show? Amazon Midwest contributes to 1.8% of this grand total, right? Amazon sells total of 8% of Adidas units. Kohl's sells 11.6, Sports Direct 22.5, and so on. So this is one distribution of units by retailer, right? This is the second distribution of units by region. Clear? So these will add up to 100. These will add up to 100. Individually, these values will add up to 8%. Individually, these values will add up to this value. Clear? So this is sort of a unit distribution of our two dimensions. Okay? Clear, everyone? I think it is relatively simple. You might have seen this.
Sahil, can you please tell me how did you like change these on percentage?
So if you go to do a right click, show values as percent of grand total.
Okay, thank you.
Right? So and how did this 1.8% come to being? It is simply but this value divided by this value, 1.8%, right? just to show you how it is calculated. Clear? Now, on top of this, you can also add filters. Okay, chalo, product level filter you will add. These three are selected by default, right? If I want to do it only for, let's say, men's apparel, then everything will change on the basis of men's apparel total units, men's apparel Amazon, right? So this is now essentially a three-dimensional view. You have a retailer in one, you have region in one, and you have product as the third dimension, right? Yes, Harsh?
So I just need to confirm if we can add a single filter to both of these pivot tables, so that if I change like product value in men's apparel, then it will change the percentile, the percentage, and the above values.
Very good question, Harsh. We will discuss it in half an hour.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other thoughts, any other questions so far? Okay. The same view I could have created by using multiple dimensions within rows. Currently, what I have done is there is one dimension row mein, there is one dimension in columns, right? Another way to do this, I'll remove this product ka filter. Another way to create this view is instead of having region in the column section, I can add region in retailer. So यहाँ पे we have two dimensions in the row section itself. So how does it work? See here. Retailer is the primary or the first dimension or parent dimension. Region is the second dimension or child dimension. So first this data is breaking by retailer and uske baad it is breaking by region. So if you see here, 8%, it is split by individual values and it is adding up to 8%, right? Similar to other ones. Why? Because I have done percent of column, oh sorry, percent of grand total, right? So 100%, this is first broken down by these individual retailer values. Then retailer values themselves are broken by region, right? So this is one way of looking at it, that in one row itself, you add multiple dimensions. I can add one more dimension. I can, let's say, add state also. So there will be three dimensions now. I can add city also. There'll be four dimensions now. But at this point, it is very difficult to follow which dimension is starting, which dimension is ending. So this is not advised, right? Up to two dimension is still okay. Okay. Now you can ask me, why not show this 8% ka split? That okay, I know that Amazon is selling 8% of Adidas units. I want to keep 8% as the parent. I don't want to split this.
Hello.
Into, yes.
Sir, please, could you please explain the dimension part once again?
Which dimension part?
Now, what you told me, like right now.
What was I wish I said three, four things, but which one specifically you want?
Multiple dimensions, like you added.
Yeah.
So multiple mein you are clear with these two dimensions, retailer and region. This is clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
है ना? अब इसी में I can add another dimension, like the state hata do. Let us say I'm adding product. So now what will happen? Let me hide this. Oh, acha, it is it will become a little difficult. 1 second. What's right? One more. So individually, I had these 6. I split it by region. Okay. And I have minimized those values. I can do that. Now, if I am adding product again, I am splitting it by 3 values. So what have I done? See, Amazon. ये क्या हो रहा है? 1 second. Amazon Midwest. अच्छा, okay, sorry. So let me. Now, see, look at this now. Amazon is the first dimension, or retailer. Second dimension is region. So if I break it further, it is breaking by region. Correct? Amazon ka I have broken by Midwest, Northeast, South, Southeast, and West. These are 5 dimensions, right? What I had earlier also, these 5. Now, because I added another dimensions here, product. So Midwest is broken down by product as well. So first parent dimension is retailer, which is here. Second is region, which is here, this one. And third is product. So for every value, this hierarchy is being repeated. So first Amazon ke sare regions, then at a region level, region wise also, I will add all the products. So this is another way I can show this data. It is unnecessarily complex, right? But it is still possible to be done. Clear?
Yes.
If I remove product, I will be left with only 2 dimensions. Retailer as the parent and region as the child. Okay. Now someone can ask, "Ke nahi, aise nahi. I want to show Amazon if it was 100. How does it split by region?" So for essentially, the user wants to do something like this. Okay, within Amazon, what is my distribution looking like? Midwest is 23%. Northeast is 8% of Amazon. Whatever. This percent, this is this percent. You get my point? That show the individual values as a percent of the parent value, like this. What if I want to create something like this? Individually, of course, they will add up to 8%. But what if I want to show this as a distribution? So there is another way to doing this. Add units sold here. Show values as percent of parent row total. See, I got the exact same values here, right? Percent of parent row total. So what is it doing? In सबको I will hide. What is it doing right now? All these values are same, by the way. है ना? So if you see, it is splitting it by this first dimension. Then इस dimension को it is splitting by its individual components. So parent row total will first split by the original parent. Then every parent ka value it will split as if it was 100%. So these will add up to 100%, like this. है ना? Is this clear? Just another way of representing our pivot data. Okay? Everyone?
Okay. This 8% you are getting, did we make any changes in the source data?
No?
Because I'm getting 7.8,
7.8?
7.99%.
7.9 नहीं है ये. It
Okay.
is, see, you can change the rounding.
Okay.
है ना?
Okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Now, one thing you need to be careful about, show values as, let us start with no calculation. No calculation is fine. This is split by these values. If you have only one column right now, If you do show values as percent of grand total, it will come like this. Or if you show this as percent of column total, it will give me the same value. Why? Because there is only one column here. है ना? So percent of grand total and percent of column total will give me the same value if there is one column. But if there is one column and if you do show values as percent of row total, you will get 100% everywhere. Why? Because row में there is only one column. So of course it will be 100% everywhere, right? So please avoid this. है ना? So if you are working with only one column, you either do percent of grand total or you do percent of column total. Don't do percent of row total, because if you have one column, every column is the total of the row column itself, right? Of the row total. So please avoid doing this. Anywhere you get 100% in all the cells, it should be an intuition that something you have done wrong. है ना? Clear?
Right.
Now, if you were to do the same thing, this is show values as of column total. So this is correct. Now, if I want to change this from retailer in rows to retailer in columns, now there is only one row here. So now I can't do percent of column total. I will have to do percent of row total. Right? So make sure you have data in columns versus if you have data in rows, what aggregation you will use. Okay? A lot of people make this mistake. So try out on your own once and see how these values change. Okay? I will take a pause here. Everyone following so far? Any questions, any doubts, please let me know.
So what is the standard like we have rows and columns. So suppose I want to, up to what dimensions I should be showing in a pivot table?
See, usually we keep it. We usually keep it to 2 dimensions.
2 dimensions.
Because after that it becomes difficult to follow. See, it depends on the end user. If you are sharing your analysis to some leadership level forum, then try to be as concise as possible in the initial views and go to details later. But if you're sharing to some ground level teams who are working on very granular information, then you can share multiple dimensions as well.
Okay. Yes. Yep. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you do it again? How can we show this grand total column? Steps, can you again?
Grand total?
Grand total, yes.
So show values as
Cell.
Grand
percentage of grand. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now coming to one point which a lot of people make mistakes in, and I've seen tenured analysts making this mistake. If I have this data in my pivot and I am using this data somewhere else, right? Let us say I am working on one tab, and I'm also working on some other analysis in another tab, and I'm referring to this data, right? So what will I do? By default, equal to this value, enter. Then I would want to drag this till the end. Now what is happening? The same value is being repeated multiple times, right? If I want to avoid this, what can I do? Someone said, okay, instead of doing $8.29, remove this dollar, then drag it across. Even then, it will be referring to the same cell, right? And in a hurry, you will forget that, oh, this is repeating the same value. So the best way to refer the output of a pivot table somewhere else is to give the exact location equal to B30 like this, then drag it across. Okay. A lot of people make this mistake in a hurry. You won't remember ke pivot tables mein referencing has to be in a different form. Okay. Right. Now, let me just check where we are. Yes. Now, let us say I have, let me delete a few things. Huh? Delete. You can also delete pivot table by doing this. Select and delete. Okay. I'll go back to our original table. Now, one more thing. If I want to do an analysis like what is the unique count of products I am selling, the count of unique products. Okay. So I have total units sold. I will do product. I'll drag it here. It will do count of product. I am getting the number 9648 here. Okay. But if I go to my raw data and do a simple filter, I am getting only 6 unique products. Right? What is happening here? What is this number? 9648.
Count of rows.
Count of rows. Very good. Count of product means it will count the number of times this is occurring, which is 9648, which is wrong and it doesn't make sense. So if I do anything like this, count of product, count of city, count of state, everywhere it will give me the count of rows in my raw data when this field is not null, right? So this does not make sense. How can I do count of unique? Let me try. Click here, value field settings. Let us look for count distinct. It is not there, right? Count distinct as a function is not there at all. What can I do here? I can go to revised my raw data, insert pivot table. In the pop-up, I select something called as add this data to data model. Right? So if I press OK, and it is not there in Mac, by the way, only in Windows Excel you will find this. So if I press OK, it will take some time to load and it will add this data separately in a data model. Now I can do this. Product, if I drag it here, count of product ki jagah, I can select something like distinct count. So I will get the correct number of unique products here. Okay. Clear? So please don't make this mistake between count and count unique. Okay. There are some other uses of data model as well, which we don't have to cover right now. Okay. Okay.
So, if we are using Excel online, that is free for use, in that also it would give us this option of data model.
Yeah, Google Sheets, I haven't seen this functionality there.
No, not Google Sheets. I'm using the Excel online wala web version.
Achha, I think it should be there.
Okay.
Might be some other location how you will get to this functionality, but I think it should be there.
Sure. Okay. Got it. Thank you. I'll check it.
Okay, 1 second.
Sahil, I have tried this with the data model, but I'm not getting the option as you are getting on the screen.
Are you using some other version of Windows of Excel?
No, almost similar.
I think this got introduced sometime later in 2020 or 19. So if you're using
We have the latest one, I believe.
Acha, then might be they have removed.
Because if you allow, can I share my screen for a minute?
I think you won't be able to share screen.
Okay, later we can check. Okay, I'll share you the screenshot in the chat.
Yes, yes.
I'm set.
Okay, okay. All right. Now, Prem, question. Hmm. 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 Ah, that. But why do you want to show Amazon as 100%? It is not 100% anywhere, no? Amazon can only be shown as a percent of grand total of its parent. What is Amazon ka parent? Overall, right? हाँ, हाँ. अच्छा, अच्छा, so you are saying कि instead of this 7.99, you want this to be, हाँ, ये नहीं हो सकता. Because it can only be sum of parent row or sum of grand total. So if Amazon had sold all the units, only then it will be shown as 100, right? है ना? हाँ, so you can say that all of these will add up to 100 if you do sum of parent row, right? Okay. All right. Now moving ahead. Let us say I have retailer. Another thing is that you can change the granularity here. If you want region to come up, you can drag it on top of retailer. So it will first split by region, then split by retailer. You can do that. Yes, Anish?
So can you explain again the parent row thing?
Mm-hmm.
What does it indicate?
So quickly I will show you. Right now, if you see here, show values as no calculation. So these values are absolute, right?
Okay.
Now, there can be multiple ways where I can represent this data. So one can be show values as percent of grand total. So 7.99 is this value divided by total. 1.81 is this value divided by total, right? If I want to show this value as a percent of this value, its parent, right? This value as its parent. So I will do show value as percent of parent row. So so this number 22.69, what is it? This divided by this 22.69, right? So this is absolute, this is percent of grand total, this is percent of row total. Different ways of representing the same raw data.
Okay.
Right? So try out once on your own, you will understand slightly better, right? Okay. Now quickly coming to the next part, which is grouping in pivot tables. Let us say currently I have this bifurcation. Product is here, region is here. Okay. So I have a 6 by 5 ka grid. So there are a total of 30 individual values. I don't want this level of granularity. I want to compress this table. What can I do? I'll select these three and I will press a right click and say group. Okay. What happened here? Look at this. Product was our original column. Another field got added, which is called product 2. Okay. So for simplicity, I will remove the original product. So I am left with these two values. Group 1 is men fashion. This group 2 is women fashion. Right? I can also, so this is a grouping which I have done. I can also do an ungrouping. Ungroup. So men fashion and these three values I got. Right? The same grouping I can do here. Maybe south or south, south and southeast. I want to group into one value. Group, remove the original region. Whatever name I want to give, I can give that name. Right? So basically, I converted this 6/5 ka grid into 2/3 ka grid. Right? And I can always come here and do an ungrouping. Ungroup, ungroup. Right? So if I want to compress data, I don't want this level of granularity without changing my raw data, I can make use of grouping and ungrouping. Clear? And even if I copy paste this table, this grouping will remain as it is. Right? Clear?
Did you select all to group the data?
I selected this south.
How men's and women's fashion? When I selected, it just didn't do that. So,
Actually, because I've done it earlier in this sheet, it remembered what I did earlier and it grouped. So here, if I do like this, men fashion, ungroup. If I select these three, so this is women fashion and this is men fashion, which I haven't grouped in. Now I can do it like this. Right? Clear? Who had asked the question?
yeah, close.
Okay. 1 second, I will look at Nida's question. Okay, Nida, I think you have not selected the entire data. So the way to do this is your data model is not selecting the entire data. So press somewhere within the data range, then do an insert pivot. I think it is missing out on other columns. That is why it is only showing you one column. Try it out once, then we'll see.
Sure. Okay.
Right? Yes, Deepika?
Yeah, and this grouping thing, while I was trying to do, so I missed it. In the rows column, product 2 was added, right? Why it happened?
So product 2 means that a new dimension has been created. Product was the original dimension. When you did a grouping, by default, it created another dimension called product.
For grouping, like we have to select the row labels like men's, all the men's, and we have to name, right?
Yes.
When I'm grouping like that, when I'm trying, it is showing you can't group them.
You were right, Sahil. It worked for me. Thank you.
Okay. So just try out like this. Select these three, right click and group.
Same, I'm doing the same. It is showing that cannot group that selection. It is showing.
Try removing this region once and then do it. Seems like some bug. Maybe some issue with your Excel version. Shouldn't happen ideally. Try out once. If it doesn't work, we'll check after the class. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So this is also done now. Let me check. Now the other another very important feature which we should cover quickly is, if you look at our raw data, right? We have operating margin, we have method, revenue, and profit. I want to get the average operating margin in my Adidas business. Okay, average operating margin. So I have total units sold. I have at a retailer ID level, I want to get operating margin. So I have this. I will drag this here. Sum of operating margin, not the correct aggregation. So I will change it to average. Okay. Now I got the average operating margin. Is this the correct way to get average operating margin or not? Any thoughts? Anyone?
Actually, it is not adding all of the values up to 100%. I think due to that.
Average adding to 100% will only happen when you are doing sum. So that part is okay. इनका simple average should come up to 42.3.
Okay, so it means that could you please, yeah. So for Amazon, out of 1,97,990, they are showing that average of operating margin is 41.8% out of the units sold.
Yes.
Okay.
So that wise, this number is okay. But is the method which I used correct, or there is some problem? Right now, whatever I have done here is a simple average. Okay. So if I look at my raw data, operating margin ko, if I do average, I'll check this. I'll do this up here. Average of this. What will I get? 42.3. Here also I got 42.3. So does it mean this is correct?
Maybe it's correct.
Okay. So here is where we have to understand the concept of weighted average. Okay. So let us say there are two products, product 1, product 2. Product 1 ka revenue is 100 and profit is 50. ठीक है? This product, अभी के लिए simple, let's keep it simple. Second product.
We have to use unique occurrences. Yeah, sorry.
Wait, we'll come to it. The second product, its revenue is 200. Its profit is ठीक है. Now, the operating margin for product 1 is what? 50%. Operating margin of this product is what? 25%. Right? Operating margin. If whatever I did earlier, if I were to do the same thing, how will I calculate? I will do simple average of these two. Average. %38 is what I got. Right? There is another way to calculate. I sum up the revenue and I sum up the profit. Now I calculate profit by revenue. It is not 37.5%, it is 33%. This is the correct way to calculate the operating margin, right? Assume this would have been only 10 rupees and profit would have been 5 rupees. Simple average karke, I will get 37.5%. But if I do weighted average, I am getting 26% because the contribution of profit and revenue of product 2 is higher. So the overall profit margin will be closer to this 25 ka number rather than 50 ka number. Right? Had this been 88 8 rupees profit, operating margin here is 80%. So if you calculate it using simple average, you will get a very high number of 53%. But in reality, because the profit margin contribution of product 1 is very low and the profit it contributes to is very low, the overall unit weighted will be 28 only. So unit weighted is the right way to calculate. Everyone clear on this?
Yep.
A lot of people make this mistake, huh? So what should we do? What do we do here? We can't use simple average. Here is where comes the concept of calculated field. Okay. So in my raw data, operating profit, operating margin, unit sold, revenue, profit. Acha, in my raw data here, I can add a field called. Acha, nahi, field add क्यों करना? 1 second. Huh? Units. I have revenue and profit both. So I will go to my pivot. I will do pivot table analyze. Field items and settings. I will go and I will press calculated field. Okay. Calculated field ko I will call whatever name I want to give and I will add a calculation. What will it be? It will be, where is revenue? Operating profit by total sales. So this is my actual number. Here I did a unit weighted calculation, right? So 36.9 is my actual unit weighted operating margin. Look at the difference between the two. I would have said 42. Actually, it is only 37. Right? So I created a new field called operating margin, operating profit percentage. Okay? Clear? Why we did this? How we did this, everyone?
Can you repeat the why operating margin was divided by total sales?
Operating margin, what is the definition? 58 divided by 210. This is total sales. This is the total profit.
Okay,
Correct?
okay. Yes, okay. So,
the same thing I did in my formula. So if you want to create a new formula, pivot table analyze.
But why are we taking these numbers instead of average?
Can anyone explain to Prem? Prem, you got this example or no? And so अगर हाँ हम्म हम्म यस हम्म यस करेक्ट हाँ यस यस दिस इज द आंसर है ना. So in my calculated field, I added these separately and I added these separately to give me the correct result. The same thing I'm doing here. है ना. I'll go to pivot table analyze, fields, item settings, calculated field. So I will create a new field where I will say, okay, take the absolute values of sum of uh, profit divided by sum of revenue. Right? Clear? Prem? The idea is that अगर हम ऐसे करते हैं, if we do it this way, we are not waiting, we are not giving any weight to the absolute value of the profit or revenue, right? So in order to do that, we will have to add the absolutes. We can't add it simply like this. The way we calculate averages of a batsman, inning 1, inning 2, inning 3, if you want to calculate the average, we will do a simple average, right? But here, every inning has a different weight. Think of it that way, right? So we have to add the weight component to it, then get the actual average, right? Yes. The size, correct, correct. Yes. So in order to keep it simple, I kept it like this. है ना? Ideally, this revenue should have been retrieved by using, let's say, 10 into 1 and 10 into 20, like that. है ना? Okay. Any other
Sir, I have a
questions?
question.
हाँ.
Yeah. So how do we figure out that where we have to use only average and where we have to use weighted average? I mean, we always have to use weighted average?
Okay. If in this scenario, weighted average, why did we have to get to weighted average? If that is the question, let us say our data set was only at a at an overall level. Let us say P1, P2, P3, and the denominator for revenue was the same 100, 100, 100, and profit was different 20, 30, 40. So यहाँ पे तो if I do it one way or the other, it will remain the same, right? 20 by 100, 30 by 100, 40 by 100. यहाँ पे if I do this way, average, simple average versus I add up these values. In both the scenarios, my value will remain 30%. Why? Because my denominator is the same. Clear? If you look at our raw data, in every instance, the number of units sold is different. Correct? So weighting I have to do mandatorily. Had it been 1, 1, 1, 1, and if I had only one column like this, if I had only one column, if the granularity had been only one column, which is unique every time, then it would not have mattered. Both of these conditions, my granularity was at a column level and the unit sold or the total revenue for every row, if it had been the same, then it would have not mattered if I used average, simple average, or average like this, right? Here,
Yes,
because
got it.
my primary key is a combination of 5 columns, and for every unique value, the denominator is different. I will have to use. So as a good practice, always use weighted average. Okay? Weighted average will work when it is even one column like this, and it will also work when we have different weights like this, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Cool. Any other question before we move to the last part, or second last part rather? Okay. Uh, Now we will discuss a little bit about one question which someone had asked, which was on multiple tables having the same filter, and we want to show different values. Essentially, look at this example where I have something like table number 1. I have a filter of or a field of product. This is one table. This is, I'll add it here only. This is the second table. यहाँ पे instead of retailer, I've split by region. The third table is region की जगह I have split by कहाँ गया, sales method, right? Right now I have 3 different tables with 3 different dimensions, right? But the filter is the same: product, product, product. Now, if I have to filter this table, or if I have to filter all the 3 tables based on only one product, let us say men's apparel, so I'll have to select this once manually, I have to select this manually, and I have to select this manually, right? Had there been 10 tables like this, every table ko I would have gone, selected men's apparel, and then refreshed the data, right? It is a cumbersome activity, and it is possible I might have missed somewhere, right? So in order to ensure that whatever filter I am using on multiple tables, it is a one-shot filter which I am selecting, right? Currently, whatever filter I am using, its limitation is to the same table. So this filter cannot change data in this table. This filter cannot change data in this table. So how can I create an external filter is my use case, right? So let us try doing it. Click on any of the table, go to insert and click on slicer. Slicer mein I'm right now creating a slicer on product. Okay. I press. So an external filter comes up like this. Okay. Before I do anything, I'll have to, currently I've created this slicer on top of this table, right? I have to connect these 2 tables with this slicer. What will I do? Right click, report connections. Okay. I am in tab March 8. So I will go here. I will select these 2 tables also in March 8. There are 3 tables. Summary 1 is this table. Pivot table 7 is this. Pivot table 8 is this. I have not named them. I should have named them, but okay. I press OK here. Okay. Now if you see, these are selected by default. All of these 6 values are selected. If I want to filter all these 3 tables by only men's apparel, what will I do? What happened? Men's apparel, men's apparel, men's apparel. Total units the same in all the 3, which means that it has actually been applied correctly. Women's apparel, one shot change in all the tables, right? Men's athletic footwear, one shot change. If I want to select multiple, click on this multi select, and you can select. right? So this is the concept of slicers. Okay. So slicer will help us in creating a fully dynamic dashboard. So we will discuss dashboard in the next session, right? So we have covered the basics of pivot tables. Do practice, and I would strongly recommend everyone in the next session, please try to work along with me. Do a hands-on along with me, even if we have worked on pivot tables before. Okay? We are almost
Yes.
out of time, so I will launch the poll. Please give in your feedback for the session. And if any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will meet back at 2 p.m. after lunch and continue with dashboarding in Excel. And that will be our last session, I think, for Excel. I think, yeah, definitely it will be the last session.
I have one query. I am still not able to do the grouping thing.
Mhm.
And from what I googled, it says that there might be some issue with your data source. So if you find anything related to web, because I'm doing it on web only, I don't have the
Acha.
bot Excel.
Okay. Web ka I'll just check out. I haven't used it before.
Hmm.
So I will research a little
I
bit.
tried to search for it, but I think I'm not getting the correct keyword on finding
Okay.
out that
Fair.
group pivot.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining. We will meet back again at 2 p.m.